Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. Saying Joyce, we're still talking about the Emmys. We're gonna do drama today.
Yeah, it's only the end of July, so we have over a month to go.
We're just gonna go through these major categories. Last week we did our Creative Arts Emmys picks, early picks. We've talked about drama a lot, I feel like, and we did this in our initial pass of the predictions. We did a typing column about this as well, because I know the Ozark stands were upset, I think, that Laura Linney is not going to win Best Actress.
Yes, I think they were upset about what I had said.
Not with you, with the.
No,
I think
not
they were
with,
upset.
I feel like I clocked what was her issue.
Yes.
Yes.
Which we will talk about throughout, because I think you had a really good point about it. And but yeah, we'll start. So drama overall, Joyce, I think, again, Succession. We love it. 25 nominations. I think 14 acting nominations.
Yes, a new record. Remember, it had 0 acting nominations for season 1.
So that unlimited ballot really just kicking it. I love it.
It went from 0 to 9 to 14. And I still remember just a mere 2 years ago when a lot of people were worried about how many acting nominations it would get for season 2, because it was, again, blanked at SAG.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of people were just thinking maybe it would just be Brian Cox. And no, it got 9.
It's just remarkable to me that it could be a system where we spend all this time talking about all these different shows, hundreds of shows, literally hundreds of shows. And then the Emmy voters are like, well, I really like Succession, so I'm just going to write down the IMDb page, and that's going to be fine. Now, we love Succession, so I'm fine with this, but it is a hilarious system.
It's because of the unlimited ballot.
Yes.
That's why
it's like, how is this the thing? How is nobody
because if you were limited to like 5 slots or however many slots in the category, you're going to be pickier.
Yeah. It's just amazing to me that this is the system they've chosen, and this is that. I just love. And when it's Succession, I just love it because I love the show. Nominate everybody. There were people they didn't nominate. I would have nominated. Alan Ruck. Where is he?
The only guy in the family.
Come on.
This is the con heads do not love this.
I mean, so it does make me laugh, but anyway, Succession I have winning, Joyce. No kidding. I've moved Severance into second place. I feel like there's a really good push for Severance. They were at Comic-Con this weekend, Joyce.
I mean, I've had Severance in second this whole time, so
I moved it up. I did not have it in second, but I think it had a strong showing. I think it had 14 nominations for a freshman show.
Showing for a first-year show. And remember when you thought Severance wouldn't make it?
I did. I wasn't sure if they were watching it, but they obviously did. And
they were clearly watching it because there were a lot of blue checks tweeting about it.
Yeah. And Apple, again, doing a great job, I think, of getting behind something that has my sense of Apple is they have a great sense of when things are happening online from the blue checks, as you said, they get behind it and do a good push to get it down the hill. So I think that happened with Coda, where it was like a lot of people were into it, and then all of a sudden they kind of pushed further the momentum and got it going. And same with Severance, I think.
Yeah, like Apple is still, it's still like flopped in outside of TED and comedy.
Right.
And then in limited, obviously, but it became very clear that Severance was going to be its main drama push, not the morning show. Right. Or even Pachinko, which is like, I believe, better review than both of them.
Yes. And I wonder if they'll be able to get a renewed. I think Pachinko also feels like a little bit of a slow burn, where I wonder if season 2 they'll end up getting more nominations than season 1.
Maybe. I think it's also like with that show, I think it's not a binge, right? And it's not, right. I think, like all of their shows are released weekly, but I think if you just wanted to catch up on Severance after it was all released, you could binge that. Right. It's a bingeable show. It's a mystery. You want to keep watching the next episode to see what's going on. Pachinko is not a binge show.
No.
I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with a colleague, a former colleague, in the entertainment journalism realm.
Ooh, nice.
And we were talking about like Apple shows, and he said that when he recommends Pachinko to people, like we were like, it's a great show, but I don't know, like it's hard to watch, like it's hard to like sit through. You have to like sit with, it's like Underground Railroad. And he says like when he recommends it to people, he warns them like it's not something you binge, that you could watch that maybe like 2 or 3 times a week.
Right.
So
yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a show that's not even nominated.
No, but I mean, like, I think it's just indicative of Apple. They do have, and it does have a lot of quality programming. Besides Severance,
it's a great show.
Yeah. Next time, next Emmys. I have Euphoria in third. I'm hanging in with Euphoria. Joyce, I rewatched the penultimate episode, and the theater and its double, I believe it's called, which is this is not anything. None of these words make any sense, but it's Lexi, who is Maude Apatow, has a play that she puts on that's an elaborate play that's like a story within a story of Euphoria. Anyway, it's an incredible episode.
I followed the tweets when it aired in February. So
it's just so good. And I just love this show so much. And I think that it will do really well. I have Squid Game in fourth, Stranger Things, Yellow Jackets, Ozark, and Better Call Saul round out my 8.
Remember when you didn't have Ozark?
I didn't, but I also don't think they were really as into it this season as, I mean, I think it got in because what else was going to get in? But I'm like, I don't think there's as much enthusiasm for Ozark this time around as there has been previously.
No,
so
but
I don't think I was that far.
They like, and I think like the finale was kind of divisive, and the season's response was a notch below season 3's.
Yeah,
so.
It just felt a little flat.
But it was always getting in.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think there's a lot of enthusiasm for it. I guess the thing is that there was no show that stepped up to take that spot. I guess in the end, there was not enough. Like Yellow Jackets, I think forced its way in, and so did Euphoria because of the passion I think behind those seasons. And then there was no like This Is Us versus Ozark, or like there was not a lot of. There's not a lot of alternatives. It was ever
This Is Us versus Ozark. Like I think Ozark was always in. I think it was like This Is Us and like Yellow Jackets or something. Funny.
Maybe. I don't know. I just don't think. I think people were like maybe putting Ozark in because of like obligation, but I think it was lower on the ballot. I don't know. I don't think people were that enthused. But anyway, I have
it in fourth. Like it's not winning.
I have it in seventh. I don't think it's close.
I have Euphoria in seventh.
Wow. This is us. We are the two. This is the two sides of us right here. So because I have.
You could just tell a lot about us just based on that. So.
So what do you got? So you have the same kind of list though, right? Because you have Severance in second still.
Severance, Squid Game, Ozark, Yellow Jackets, Better Call Saul, Euphoria, and Stranger Things.
So is there any way Squid Game wins or anything other than Succession wins? Can you imagine a scenario where that happens?
I think sure, yes, it can be upset, but I think it's just kind of just too far out ahead at this point. And it has so much support. And it's also, like we said before, it's a contemporary show and it got 25 nominations. Like that number is reserved for like genre shows.
Right.
Like fantasy shows, like Game of Thrones.
Right.
And sure, most of those nominations are for acting, right? 14 are for acting. But it was never going to be huge below the line because it's not that type of show.
Right.
But it hit everything it needed to in crafts. So, and I'm sure there are special effects people who obviously can't vote for Succession in that category, love Succession too.
It's a very lovable show. Very likable, lovable show, even though it's about cads, as it turns out. But I will say I'm really not to derail this and go into Emmys 2023, Joyce, but we're gonna have a world where we'll have the drama series contenders would be like Game of Thrones sequel or prequel, Lord of the Rings prequel, Succession season 4 probably, and The Crown, right? Won't that be back too? That's gonna be like a pretty wild lineup
in November. Well, Succession has defeated The Crown before,
right?
So, but and also The Crown's. They like The Crown in even number years, not odd number years. It's like it takes them 1 year to get acclimated to the new cast.
Sure.
So I feel like The Crown season 6 will have a big year.
Probably, especially because it'll be like the final season. But I just think that's like a crazy that is like a wild lineup of dramas. All of those could have more than 20 nominations.
Like those shows get in too.
Right.
There's no guarantee those shows get in.
There's no guarantee, but like the
you're just assuming.
Yeah.
They'll get in.
I mean, I'm definitely assuming they get a lot of nominations because of the spectacle.
They'll get a lot of below the line.
Yeah, I mean, the Game of Thrones and the Lord of the Rings ones are going to get like a a ton of nominations. I feel like maybe not acting, but like definitely tech stuff. Wild times. So much to talk about next year, but we're still talking about this year, Joyce. So for drama actress, like I have Zendaya winning, Melanie Lynskey in second, and then Laura Linney in third. I think you might have the same three.
I do, but I have them in different order.
Okay.
I still have Melanie in first because why not?
Right.
Keep things interesting.
Sure.
So I don't like having the front runners in every category the same as everyone else. And I think this is a race where an alternative is viable.
Yeah. So do your explain now here on this why Laura Linney maybe wouldn't win, even though she probably could deserve to win.
I mean, it doesn't just apply to Laura Linney. It also applies to like Sarah Snook.
Sure.
And also snubby Sarah Goldberg.
Yes.
But I feel like Laura Linney won't win for Ozark. So this will be her first Emmy nominated role for which she goes home trophyless, because every nominated role she's been up for, she's won.
Right.
So she has 4 Emmys. And she should have won for season 3. Let's be real. So if she were to win now, it'd be a makeup win for that, really. But it's hard to see it happening, not just because of the competition like Zendaya or Melanie on like, you know, a buzzy new show, no pun intended. But Wendy, you know, she's cold and ruthless, and a lot of voters, specifically men, don't warm to that type of female character. Like they're, you know, just kind of, I mean, you can go all the way back to like Lena Headey, so like Game of Thrones. Like I remember so many stands predicting her constantly. And I thought like she could have won too in 2015 when they changed the system. And then it was just like, no, like she's just never winning because they just don't respond to that type of the cold personality from female characters. And like Sarah Snook, like it's kind of the same thing with Shiv. And then with like Sarah Goldberg, Sally is like totally ambitious, right? And she can be icy and mean to Darcy Carden's character on the show. And I think that like I love that performance, and there's so much to admire about like the layers she puts into that, and like why, like I think that's something to admire in like Sally, like her ambition to be a successful actress. But I think that also rubs certain people the wrong way. Like they don't like seeing that ruthless ambition. So I think that's also partly why she was snubbed as well, in addition to the fact that it's an unlimited ballot and she's basically the only female character or actor on that show, so she can even coattail off of anyone. But yeah, so I feel like Wendy is just gonna go become, you know, and one of those characters who does not win its portrayer an Emmy, even though she's basically like Walter White, but she's a woman,
right?
So so Laura's probably not going to win,
right? And it's a shame because she's great and she's Laura Linney. So I have Zendaya winning, but I really want to switch to Melanie Lynskey. I don't want to go. I want to go down with my Euphoria ship, but I think there's just so many signs that Melanie Lynskey is going to win. She's worked with everybody. She's a beloved actress, like breaking through in air quotes because she's been famous for decades with this role. I just feel like she's out there very visibly, whereas Zendaya is not going to be as out there, right? Because she's busy.
Well, Zendaya doesn't need to do anything. Like
she doesn't need to, but it helps that you do it, I think, sometimes, especially if you're like an underdog.
Like she did anything in phase 1,
right? And
now they're shooting Dune Part 2,
right?
So like she barely did anything last time and she won.
And I know I feel like she was a surprise winner last time. Certainly, at least
she was, but also I think the fact that I think a lot of people underestimated her because she was so young, but the fact that she made it in should have signaled that there was a lot of passion for her.
Right. And I think there's going to be a lot of passion for her this time. And obviously we don't know what her submission episode is yet, but it seems obvious it would be like Stand Still Like a Hummingbird, where she's like going down the way down in darkness as she's on a bender and like kind of does all these increasingly unhinged things that are scary, and it's a great showcase for, I think, for her, and the episode's cool. At the same time, like, if you, I mean, and I guess you could say that about Melanie too, the season, especially as it goes to the end, and it doesn't, maybe again, this maybe doesn't matter because there are people really watching these shows and they're paying attention to all this stuff that carefully. Rue definitely goes slightly backseated by the back half of the season. She's not in it as much after that 5th episode. I mean, obviously the show is still like,
no, it's
her
a
POV.
that was like the whole thing, right? It was just
Right.
like very ensemble-y, and she was hardly in it.
And I wonder if that would be like enough of a ding to get people to like put Melanie up top. I don't know. And I think it'll be really close. I think this is one that like could go down to the wire. But I'm going to stick with Euphoria and Zendaya because
I mean,
think
they're
she's
not going
great.
to punish Zendaya for not being like an outright lead.
No, not punish, but just might be like, oh, she's great and she won once before, but I think compared to like the first season, she obviously had slightly less to do, and like Melanie is like on the rise, and I'll pick her. That kind of thing.
I mean, the other thing I'll say about this category is that everyone has gotten this wrong the past 4 or 5 years. So Elizabeth Moss, Handmaid's Tale, 2017, that was obvious.
Right.
And then the following year, we all thought she would repeat, and then Handmaid's flopped at the main ceremony, and Claire Foy won.
Right.
And then 2019, it seemed like it was Sandra Oh's time,
Mhm.
and then Jodie Comer won. But also that was similar to Zendaya, where if you were paying attention, it wasn't that surprising because
Right.
Jodie just had a better second season. And then 2020, it like everyone's picking Laura and Zendaya won. And then last year, everyone's picking Emma Corrin and Olivia Colman won.
Right.
So basically, Zendaya is not going to win.
I could see that. And I think with you're talking about passion, I mean, I think because she's already won, and like I said, because it's more of an
there's
ensemble.
been no repeat in this category. And also before Elizabeth Moss's win, everyone thought Viola was going to repeat, and Tatiana Maslany won.
Right. So I think there's room here for an upset pick. I'm not ready to do it yet. I'll probably switch before the end. But for now, I'm sticking with Zendaya. But I think when I switch, it will be Melanie. I just think that the signs are there for her to win. And I also think Yellow Jackets is a show that clearly there was an affection for. And while maybe they don't vote like this and everybody gets a trophy, this is a spot where you could have it win.
This is the most obvious spot for a Yellow Jackets win. But yes, it's not the entire Academy voting for winners. It's just the acting branch.
Right.
So it's not like they can consult with like the writers.
Right. I understand. But I do feel like this is like a great spot to recognize Yellow Jackets as a show people liked.
Yeah.
But they also like Euphoria. So
he is like working for it. Like,
yeah.
So I think they're starting production on season 2 soon. But like with the way they shoot like the teens and then the adults, like they alternate. So I think she'll still have time to do press. What if Sandra Oh wins somehow, finally?
So she could. I mean, her episode is the penultimate episode of Killing Eve, Joyce. If that means something to
that does not mean anything to me because I did not watch that show.
I don't know if she would win. I don't know. I don't think she would, but
they're not sentimental.
Right.
She's on her 13th nomination now, 0 wins.
It's just pretty wild that she hasn't won for something.
She should have won for Grey's.
Yes.
And then I didn't think she was going to win that first year she got in for Killing Eve, but it obviously teed her up for season 2. But then they just gave Jodie better material, basically.
Right.
Season 2.
It also feels like the way they nominated, like Jodie didn't get nominated for season 1, if I remember.
No, it was just Sandra.
And you can make the case that she should have gotten nominated for season 1 and possibly won for season 1. So when she wins for season 2, while she did have better material, it is like a little bit of a makeup for season 1 to me, because she's like the breakout of the show. Obviously, like everybody knows Sandra Oh is great, and she's great on Killing Eve. But like Jodie Comer was a totally like unknown quantity at the time, I think.
Well, yeah, but that's also why she didn't make it in. And also, like, if you remember in season 1 when the show broke out, because it premiered in April, and it was just about Sandra Oh's comeback, and this was like her lead role.
That's true.
You know, so I think she was probably at best 3rd that year. but yeah, she like swept the winter, so it seemed like she was just positioned. That was the second time she swept the winter awards and then went on to lose the Emmys.
Tough beat. I mean, it'd be great if she won.
Her
But
co-star too, because last time Catherine won.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that hasn't aged well because Katherine Heigl actually was great on Grace also,
and she had good tapes like that year. So
we went back and
it just sucks that Sandra hasn't won yet.
We've in the last year rewatched all of Grey's Anatomy. My wife was watching it, so I was watching it. What a show, just so good. And those early seasons are great. And Katherine Heigl was great, and she got
still on, so you should just watch it live now.
We watch it now live. It's a totally different show. I love that Luke from the OC is a big character now. I think his name is Link now. Chris Carmack. Sure. You remember him? It's great.
I do, but I don't watch Grey's, so.
Well, anyway, I'll just say Katherine Heigl got a tough beat. I think that she was great on the show, and I think if this was now, if the stuff she was saying about the show happened now, she would be hailed as a conquering hero. But at the time, it was shut up, Katherine Heigl. We don't.
Well, even like Ellen Pompeo recently was like, Katie was right.
She was.
Yeah.
And she's great on the show. Even if she's so great on the show that she sold all the increasly unhinged, stupid stuff that they made her do, including having sex with a ghost and just all kinds of crazy shit. It's a wild show, but she was good. Well, I look forward to the Katherine Heigl comeback Emmy, I guess, Joyce. We'll see what that is. For drama actor, I still have Brian Cox first, Jeremy Strong second, Lee Jung-jae third, Bateman, Adam Scott, and Bob Odenkirk. I'm going to probably change this and move Jeremy Strong down further. I actually think that Lee Jung-jae would be second and Jeremy would be third.
Well, yeah, I have Lee Jung-jae in second.
You have Jeremy winning.
No, I saw Brian in first, okay. But I don't like that's not like really a prediction. That's more like a hope diction.
Okay.
Because I do think it's hard to. Because I think it was more obvious last time that Jeremy was the choice for season 2. And I don't know if that's as clear this time. And this time they do have an easy alternative in Lee Jung-jae.
Right.
But, as I've said before, I do want Brian Cox to win an Emmy for Succession.
Same. And that's why I'm going to leave him there. I guess this is another argument, as we were just saying, for Melanie Lynskey. And while I understand like the voting mechanics, it's a great spot to recognize Squid Game, where it might not win elsewhere, especially like in major categories. So Lee Jung-jae could win here and like take home an honor for the show.
Yeah, and he won SAG.
Yes. And the Critics' Choice Awards, Joyce. Remember them?
Yeah, but that has no bearing on this. So there's no overlap.
No, they're trying to, but they try to predict the Emmys, Joyce.
It's interesting because like they're so far apart in dates, right? And like the calendar is different. So and it also would have been interesting to see what they would have done had they kept their January date.
Who knows? I think Succession would have won.
So yeah. I think like the safe choice is probably Lee Jung-jae. Yeah, and then oops, I just switched a page. So I have Brian, Lee Jung-jae, Jeremy Strong, Bob Odenkirk, Adam Scott, and Jason Bateman.
Right.
So Bob, Better Call Saul, the last episodes are airing now. We're in the Breaking Bad era now, because that's what happened last week. If you did not watch Fun and Games, basically a time jump after Kim dumps him. So I don't know. I don't think he'll win, but he submitted he submitted the best episode of the first half.
Right.
Saw Plan Execution, which was the mid-season finale. I don't know if that was like the best tape for him. Like he was really good in it, but it's definitely the best episode of that first half. But
what do you think about that strategy and what you should pick? Do you pick something that's like the best episode, or do you pick something that you're good in under the auspice that you're like, if people like this show, they know I'm good, so why don't I just pick the best episode if they're actually going to watch it?
Well, that's just like, it's hard to say because the submissions don't actually matter in this system, because no one has time to watch all these episodes.
Of course.
It's not the tape system where it's just a select group of people with 2 categories and they can actually watch all those episodes, because they're not watching episodes for like 20 acting categories or
Right.
however many there are. So I think you should like go find something with like, I mean, he's a lead, so like he's in most of the show, right? I think it's more interesting to talk about like supporting people. Like you definitely want something where you have a lot of material. And maybe if you get to show range too,
Right.
and have like a lot of impact.
Right.
With lead, I mean, I think it's safe to say like if you're the lead, you're probably in most of the scenes in the episode. So yeah, I mean the show itself is well received, so it's not like there's like a bad episode of Better Call Saul.
Right. No, but if you're picking like it's like good to versus like great, you know, obviously like all these shows have like levels of good, even if they're great. There are better episodes of Succession. Not every episode of Succession is like an A+.
But like like you're not gonna, I think that there's just like very obvious options for you, and it's usually, you know, something like the finale would make sense for most people because that's when most shows bring it.
Right.
So, but it's not like they don't matter under the system. So it's just like it's fun to talk about. And
Yeah.
like they made a good choice or they made a bad choice.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just curious. That's all. For supporting actress choice, I still have Julie Garner for Ozark. We don't know her submission yet, but I don't, like we said, it doesn't matter. I have Ray Ziorn in second. Hers was Hit and Run, Joyce, which she directed.
Yes, that was her directorial debut. That's when Kim meets Mike.
Yes, she bet on herself big time. I have Sarah Snook in third, Young Ho Yeon in fourth, Christina Ricci, Sydney Sweeney, Patricia Arquette, and J. Smith Cameron.
I have Julia, Ray Horn, Jung Ho Yeon, and Sarah Snook. I have Sarah in fourth, which pains me, but I don't see her winning.
I don't either, and I think this is another one I will probably adjust as we get closer and put Young Ho Yeon in third and put Sarah Snook in fourth, or even lower. I just don't think she's going to win either. I don't. Again, it's a tough beat because she's so good. Just love her on the show, but I don't think in this category she could win.
It's hard because, like I said, like Shiv is a colder character, and then you have fan favorite characters played by Julia Garner and Jung Ho Yeon.
Right.
Who won SAG.
So
over Sarah Snook.
Right. What if Sarah was lead?
I think she would get into lead, but she would just be like another Laura Linney.
But do you think she, like, here's my guess. I think she would get into lead too, obviously, because like the lead, it was a little soft, let's say.
She went lead in season 1, but none of them got in.
None of them got in. I wonder, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, I actually think I don't think she would win either, but I think I could make a better argument for her winning lead than I can for her winning supporting. As strange as that is.
Yeah, this is a very competitive category because you have Julie, who's won twice. I think Ray is a complete wild card.
Right.
Because she finally made it in. But what does that mean too? Is like, are they actually watching the show? Because in the past, they've indicated that they don't pay attention to the show, or at least like the actors don't, you know?
Right.
And
I think they are watching, and like we said, having the final episodes now.
Yeah, and she had a great episode last week when she dumps Jimmy.
Right.
So I don't think that's the last we'll see of Kim. There's 4 episodes.
I don't think so.
And yeah, like Jung Ho Yeon, she won SAG. Obviously, Squid Game is huge. Also another popular character. And I don't think Sydney, Christina, Jay, and Patty are like I have them in my bottom 4. I guess like I wouldn't be surprised maybe if like Patty won, just because she's a 2-time winner. But
yeah, I could see that too. Her episode is the penultimate episode, I think, where like her character gets fired, I believe, is like the main dramatic heft of that episode for her. Sure, I'd say good performance. I don't know. I guess I could see her. I honestly could see almost anybody here winning except for J. Smith Cameron.
Yeah, I think Jay, like everyone else you can really make a case for.
Yeah. So who knows? But I do think that Julie Garner will win, I think, for this.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I guess it depends. Like you said, like if Ray comes back for the final Breaking Bad, for the final Better Call Saul, which she will seemingly, and has like the great moment. I just think that will help her.
I mean, she already had a great moment last week. So
I know, but when she has another, you know what I mean? Like, I just think if it's a satisfying resolution with the character, and also she continues like her customarily good, excellent work, that could really help her win. I think if people have an affection for the way it ends, that will only help her. Like you said, Ozark, the ending was polarizing.
I mean, like the reason Better Call Saul is a great show is like we know how it ends. Like we know what happens in Breaking Bad, but it's still such a compelling watch.
Right.
Like we don't know how the next 4 episodes are going to end, but we know where it leads to in Breaking Bad.
Well, I think what'll end up, I mean, my expectation would be that they're going to go past Breaking Bad with the end.
Well, like they've always shown the black and white flash forward scene and so on.
So I think that's where Kim would come back. I would expect.
And they're gonna live happily ever after.
I don't know if they're gonna live happily ever after, but I'm sure they'll have one more like resolution in that part. That'll be my expectation from the show. But who knows? I mean, it would be great if she won, but I still have Julie Garner winning. So
I mean, that would be like such a flex for her to have gone so long without a nomination and then to get 2 this year and then to actually win.
She would be pulling the Maya Rudolph, I think we call that, Joyce.
You think she's gonna win both? I think she has a better shot in the short form.
I mean, she could win both. She definitely could win the short form because I think.
I mean, that's an out for them. If
it is
voting, so they can just vote for
for
Cooper's Bar and not vote for her for.
Well, I could also see a scenario where this happens, where, like you said, the fact that she got in shows that they're watching and that there is passion for her, right? Like that whole thing, right? So I could see a scenario where like she wins the short form one, and then people are like, I'm still going to vote. I'm going to definitely have her win that, and I'll still vote for supporting actress, but I don't think she's going to win. And enough people do that, and she actually wins both. You know, that kind of thing.
They're just going to vote her down the ballot.
Well, they vote for what they like. If they like her so much, you know what I mean? Like that's just like to go back. Like you were right on this. I always think of this with your with like Chadwick Boseman versus Anthony Hopkins at the Oscars. It was like they just liked the father. They liked Anthony Hopkins. That's why he won.
Well, no, they like that performance.
Right.
Like I think that was like people. You just saw like how people responded to that performance.
But I think a lot of people voted for him, being like, I think Chadwick is going to win, but I'm just going to vote for what I like, you know, that kind of thing. And enough people did that, and then Anthony Hopkins won.
But who are they think is going to win here? Like, are they just going to think it's Julia Garner again?
Yes,
are they going to be like Jung Ho-yeon?
No, I think it would be Julia Garner because she's won previously. So I think it's gonna be like, I think Julia Garner's going to win, and she's great, but I like Ray Seahorn most, so I'm going to vote for her. Like that, it could be. I could see that happen.
The other thing that's interesting is that all the drama 2020 winners were out last year. They were ineligible. Right. They're all back this year.
Right.
And it's just like, how much of a memory do these voters have? Do they remember? Like, I guess you can remember voting for them, whoever you voted for last time or whenever they're eligible. But like, do you remember them winning? Like, do you remember Julia having won twice?
I mean, I hope they do. If we remember it, they should remember it, Joyce.
But they don't. They're not like us. You know that.
I mean, maybe they are a little bit. I don't know. They have to remember who won.
Like even if they're curious, how many of them do you think actually looked that information up?
I don't know. Not many. I don't know. As usual, if we were in charge, it would just be great.
If I was in charge of the Emmys, things would look a lot different. So.
Yeah. For supporting actor choice, I'm still sticking with him. Matthew McFadden. I have him winning. Kieran in second for Succession. Oh Young-soo in third. Billy Crudup, John Turturro, Christopher Walken, Park Hae-soo, and Nicholas Braun rounding out my 8. I think Matthew has to win. I can't live in a world where he doesn't win for this season. So I'm just predicting him. That's it.
I have Kieran and Matthew 1, 2 still. And I have Oh Young-soo in third, John Turturro, Billy Crudup, Nicholas Braun, who is like really 8th, but I just put him in 6th.
Right.
Park Hae-soo and Christopher Walken, a total coattail name check.
So so we have Matt. You have Kieran. I have Matthew. Succession all the way. Ride or die. Is there a world?
It's the acting category. It's best position to win.
I think so too. But let's just to play this out. Can Oh Young-soo win again because Squid Game is so popular and he has a key role, or is this a John Turturro like surprise upset win for Severance?
I can see John Turturro winning.
One of the only spots where you could argue it has a shot of winning a major award.
Like, I would say he was like the best actor on that show in the first season.
After Adam. I think Adam's great.
I like Adam a lot, but I think like John, especially in the finale too, which he didn't submit that one. It's Defying Jazz, right?
I think so. Let me look. Yeah. I got too many tabs open, Joyce. Yeah, Defiant Jazz is his episode.
Yeah, I can see him winning because this is also like a good spot for Severance as well, in addition to directing. Not an acting category, obviously, but still. Right. And he's a former Emmy winner. Oh Young-soo, I mean, he won the Globe, which is also irrelevant because like there's no overlap.
There were the Globes? They happened?
Remember?
No. Was that a real thing?
Yeah, I heard that music
is
the best medicine.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that too, actually. I didn't know that, but yeah. That's
great. It's unconfirmed, but that's what I heard.
Yeah. So. Interesting. Love it. See, I could see him winning too, but I don't know. I'm sticking with Severance. That's Succession, excuse me. I'm sticking with Matthew.
Why does everyone like say Severance when I mean Succession and say Succession when I mean Severance?
You know why? Because they look like they're about the same amount of letters, and I'm just reading it quick.
But they're also different vowels.
Yeah, but close enough. If you're looking at it quick, it's close enough. No, Matthew McFadden on Severance would be fun, but he's better on Succession. And I hope he wins. I just love Tom. What a great arc.
He's really good. I would love if he and Henry Winkler won because they both basically did the same thing.
Yeah.
Of their shows. I don't know. I feel like there may be a consensus around Kieran. Like he is obviously the more populist.
Right.
He has the dick pics.
Now he won the Critics' Choice Award, I believe.
He won Critics' Choice and gave an iconic speech.
Probably the best moment of that whole show.
Yeah, that was the only time I tuned into the broadcast because I saw that he won.
Yeah.
On Twitter, and then I just immediately changed the channel to see his speech because I knew.
Right.
But yeah, and then he got into the SAG's single acting category with Brian and Jeremy.
Right. So
as a supporting actor.
So the strength is there. And he's wonderful, obviously. I'm not going to knock him winning. I just want Matthew to win. That's all.
One of them should have won in season 2, but Billy Crudup won.
So what if Billy Crudup wins here? He's coming back to a year removed to defend his title.
Yeah, all the 2020 winners are back.
And what if he wins?
I have him. Where do I have him? In 4th? 5th. I have him in 5th. Sorry. The morning show did not do that well.
No.
Its base of support is still the actors, right? It's a very actor friendly show, and last time it got 5 acting nominations, and this time it got 3, and those were its only Emmy nominations, just for him, Reese, and Marcia Gay Harden and guest. Right. So that's like doesn't in their entire base of support. So you could argue that, since only actors are voting for the winners, that he could still win. What did he submit?
He submitted.
I mean, he's just like chewing the scenery.
He submitted My Least Favorite Year, which let's look up what that was.
Was that the premiere?
Scintillating Stuff.
That was the premiere, wasn't it?
So if it is the premiere.
Yeah, that was the premiere. Yeah. That's when
fabulous episode for him. Ends with a great button where he's like, somebody coughs behind him as they have coronavirus and he's like, oh fuck, or whatever. It's just a great killer. It's a great ending to that episode. So I'm not surprised that he submitted that. It's really good. And he's like the lead of that episode, I would say.
Yeah. So I feel like the support for that show is maybe kind of dwindled. So, right. But still, I think maybe he could win in the tape system because they would just be watching that, and it's super baity.
Yeah.
But
So drama directing choice you mentioned, I actually have moved Severance to the top spot. So I think this is a win for Severance. I have Severance in first, Squid Game in second, Succession in third, Yellow Jackets in fourth, Ozark in fifth, Succession in sixth and seventh.
I think I still have Squid Game in first, but yeah, I have Severance in second. Again, in Succession, I'll have Belsay in third. I think it's just between the three of them.
So the reason I moved Severance up is because I feel like, dare I say, Severance feels again like on the ascent because of how it's remaining in the consciousness here, and Squid Game feels a little like last year's thing. And while I think it probably could win here easily, I think there will be enough passion around Severance there. They're like, this is a great spot. Ben Stiller could win and go up there and get an Emmy. That's it.
I mean, it's the finale of Severance, which is its best episode of the season. I can see it winning. I think I was gonna put it in first, and then I don't know why I just put Squid Game in first.
I mean, Squid Game seems like a logical choice, and I think it's leading in our odds. Let me check.
But again, we've gotten this category wrong the past 4 years.
That was another reason why I switched to Severance, actually, because I know you said in the past we've not been great on that one, so I've Severance in first.
Yeah, again, the last one we got right was Handmaids for season 1, I think, because then in season for its second season. And then Jason Bateman. What if Jason Bateman again for Ozark?
He could. I mean, like, he's up there. There he is. Why not? It could happen. The directors in this category are amazing. It's a great list. This is a really good category.
It is. It's a great list. Like Kathy Ann for Disruption got in. It's great since she wasn't one of the Succession DJ 5. Lorene Scafaria was for Too Much Birthday. I can actually see that upsetting.
Well, it would be wonderful if it did.
The Succession winner.
It would be wonderful if it did. It's a great episode, and she's an awesome director, as we know from Hustlers, Joyce.
Yes, I know.
Justice for J-Lo.
And then, did you watch Halftime yet?
Not yet.
It's been over a month. What are you doing?
I've lived at Halftime. I don't need to watch it.
Yeah, but you need.
I watch Marry Me. That's like that's the more populous version of Halftime.
And also, yesterday was J-Lo's birthday, so
yeah, that's true. Maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah, and then the Yellow Jackets.
Like Karen Kusama is a great director, so it's cool to see her recognized. I could see that even winning too, but I think Stiller will be too much. I think, like you said, the Severance finale is so great. It's the best episode of the show, and people will like remember that. So I think if they are paying attention to what's nominated and what's on the ballot and stuff, then it would win.
I mean, the other thing is like the directing in general is very vote splitty, so that's why it sucks for Succession.
Right.
But you can still win. It's easier to win, obviously, if it's just 2, but like 3 is way harder. Like Watchmen couldn't do it. OJ couldn't do it. And last time Succession won, it was just 2. It was This Is Not for Tears and Hunting won. When everyone took it, This Is Not for Tears. So usually when it vote splits, directing goes to what you presume was the series runner-up. So if Severance is the series runner-up, then it makes sense for it to win directing.
Right, and that's why I moved it, because I moved Severance to series runner-up from Squid Game. So, drama writing choice. This one, no votes to split for Succession, so I have it just winning easily. All the bells say. The finale, Jesse Armstrong. Severance in second, Yellow Jackets in third, Squid Game, Better Call Saul, Ozark, and then Yellow Jackets in seventh. The Yellow Jackets in third I have is the pilot episode.
Wow, root to Better Call Saul.
Sorry. I mean, where do you have it compared to that?
And third.
Wow.
It's better written than those other episodes.
Yes, but it's not a show that they like as much as other shows.
But I don't have it winning.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like that's why.
No, the writers have always been here for that show. That's the thing.
Well, sure, but I think these are the way it's ranked.
I'm not here for that show. The writers are. But yeah, I have Succession and then Severance and then Better.
Succession. This is such a great episode. It really is so wonderful. The finale. So many great things. It's. I actually think it's the best episode of Succession.
You did it again.
I did. God damn it.
Bye.
I think it's the best episode of Severance too, if it was an episode of Severance. But it's definitely the best episode of Succession in my mind.
It's so great. And then did you read the script? Because it's online.
No.
It's so good. I love reading scripts of like, episodes and like movies, because you just see, well, you also see, because sometimes it's like early drafts, you see like what's changed in the final cut and
So
stuff.
did anything change in that one?
Yeah, it's just like some like small lines here and there, but it's just like great to read the stage directions and like the descriptions, because some scripts super lacking in that regard. But you know, Jesse brings it, obviously.
One of the things I love about Succession is how it's so like it's so well written and so well plotted that it like everything pays off. Every little moment throughout the season, I think, pays off. And like this, I'm thinking of like the scene in the finale with Tom and Greg, and going back to like Neros and Sporas, and just like their whole relationship, and how it like you could be watching it and it's like that is like a reveal that's held back, let's say, right? Like when you're first watching, like that Tom is gonna like side with Logan. You're not actually sure what he's saying to Greg in that moment, right? And it could be that he's like gonna go make a deal with the devil, which is the Roy sibling, the kids.
Yeah,
right?
because Shiv just pitched him.
Correct. And it's like you're kind of not even paying attention to what's happening, but when you rewatch it, it's just so rewarding. And watching their relationship and watching like that whole scene play out, I just think is fantastic. And it's like those little, the way it all kind of comes together, it really is a remarkable show.
Yeah, and even just when they're trying to figure out who outed them.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Yeah.
And it's just watching, like the writing is so great, and every character moment is so great. And that episode that has to do so much, like obviously paying off 2 seasons worth of Kendall hiding that he killed that waiter, you know, like that kind of thing. That they just, and they land those planes so well. I think there's a world where that could have been botched. And like, you kind of like don't get.
Sure, especially in his breakdown too.
Right.
Yeah, because that's a very long scene as well. But yeah, it's just so well written, because
amazing.
The thing about it is like, this is all that show is just about relationships. Right. And there's so many scenes like set in a boardroom. I have no idea what they're talking about when they do business meetings. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but the writing is so good that you're completely invested in these characters and what they're going through. And it doesn't have any like crutch to fall back on, like any like high concept premise or something. Like it's all in the writing. Like that's why you care about these characters, even though they're all assholes.
Right. I think the other thing too is that works, and I agree with you, because a lot of times I'm like, what are they talking about?
I have no idea.
But then when you watch it back, like I've watched the show multiple times. When you watch it back, it's like you actually do understand what they're talking about. That's what makes the show, I think, so good, is that like it is actually making sense from like a business perspective or whatever, or what they're doing
generally. But I don't know, like,
but you don't have to know, right?
Yeah, like, you don't have to know,
right?
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
It's great.
But yeah, but like, I could see that it could be like intimidating, or when you explain it to someone who's never heard of it before, it's like, why do you care about the show that's like about business dealings and stuff? Right. It's like, no, it's actually really interesting.
Right. That's interesting. Those are the drama categories. Do you want? I mean, we didn't go through creative art. We were just doing prime time today. I didn't look at creative arts again, but we could if you want. We just did it last week, or we could talk about Marvel, Joyce, because Comic-Con was this weekend.
And what, like how Loki will miss eligibility next year?
So Loki's, I was a little disappointed. They're going to release Loki season 2. Let me find the phase 5 Marvel thing, but they're going to have Loki season 2 says summer 2023. So that means it'll come out, if they're actually understanding what summer is, it would come out after Emmy eligibility, unless they consider summer May.
It'll be like June again, just like season 1 was.
Correct. So not the greatest bit if we're hoping to get Loki season 2 in more Emmy consideration, because I think one of the things that perhaps hurt it this year was that it was out of sight, out of mind for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it got a lot of key nominations, like the guilds over the winter, so that was good for it, and it was still its best or most nominated MCU show this year,
right?
At the Emmys. So yeah, because they're gonna do Secret Invasion early next year, so that's Olivia Colman coming for another Emmy. So
Olivia, the cast of that one: Olivia Colman, Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, and Emilia Clarke, I believe, Joyce. So a lot of Emmy firepower, perhaps.
And also Don Cheadle.
And Kobe Smulders.
Yeah. Don Cheadle probably will have more to do than just walk around a museum.
My guess is Don Cheadle's a Skrull, absolutely, already. I'm just like, it's a show about like who's a Skrull and who's not. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're bringing War Machine in, I'm like, Skrull, immediately. That was my guess.
And then there are other show that would make eligibility is Echo, which is the Hawkeye spinoff with Alakwa Cox. So
well, it's I mean, it seems like it would. They're both due out in summer 23.
no, Echo was like mid
I think it said maybe mid
or like
summer.
spring or something.
Maybe it's
I
spring
thought it was
23. So it'll be like on there and it'll get in. Sure. I think that'll have as much of an Emmy push as like Hawkeye did, personally.
So it'll go in comedy.
Yes. But yeah, so Loki season 2, I guess maybe not. So that will be eligible in 24 for Emmys.
Yes.
Long time from now. That's wild.
I mean, we already know what's happening in phase 6.
Yes, the Fantastic Four, and then Avengers, more Avengers movies.
Yeah, they're gonna do them. They're gonna pull the Matrix with them 6 months apart in May and November.
My reference point was Back to the Future 2 and 3, but also the Matrix.
Well, Matrix is the most recent one.
Yes,
even though it was 19 years ago now.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. I'm like, I think I will say this. I was from a movie standpoint, Joyce, I don't know. I absolutely was very questioning what Black Panther 2 is going to be like, because they had not released anything, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, none of these Marvel things have been that compelling. I think they've been pretty good. I like Doctor Strange a decent amount. I think that one still holds up. Thor is totally fine. A lot of the shows have been totally fine. But not as like, I didn't get that jolt as I did off of Loki, right? Or like WandaVision or whatever. And yet Black Panther 2, I'm like, holy cow, that looks amazing. I think it looks so good.
That was a great trailer. If there were Oscars for best trailers, then it would win. What
if it gets in for best picture?
I mean, I got in last time.
I was watching the trailer and I was like, wow, this is going to eat Avatar 2's lunch. That's what it would look like to me, because it's like a lot of water stuff.
I mean, it's like half Avatar.
It looks like Avatar. They're even blue.
Yeah, because it's Atlantis.
Because it's Atlantis. So they're really like Na'vi style, like Anne Hathaway in We Crashed would dress up as like a Black Panther 2 character, maybe in the sequel to We Crashed. But yeah, no, I was like, I'm weighing on this. I'm back on Marvel.
It was a great trailer, and also gorgeous looking, because Black Panther Wakanda Forever was also shot by the Loki cinematographer, whom I talked to. I talked to her.
Yes.
Dorad Akapal.
So did you predict? Do you have her winning? She's a nominee
for the Emmys.
Yeah,
she should win. Who else is in that category? Let me see.
I think also
Winning Time is in that category.
I'm actually doing a panel about that category, Joyce. Spoiler alert. So I should probably look up who's nominated. But
well, she is. So she's up against, so this is Outstanding Cinematography for a Single Camera Series, 1 hour.
Yes.
So it's Euphoria.
So that episode is amazing. And Marcel Rev is a really great cinematographer. All these are they're all winners in my heart.
And then Loki Lamentis.
Yes.
That's the one with the oneer. I talked to her about that too. That's
interesting
episode. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, How to Get to Carnegie Hall.
That's the finale of Mrs. Maisel.
Ozark, A Hard Way to Go, the series finale.
Mm-hmm.
Squid Game, Stick to the Team. And then Winning Time, Pieces of a Man.
Which I believe is maybe the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar episode. Let's see.
Yeah, it's the 5th one. Yeah.
Which is a really great episode. I actually interviewed that cinematographer, Joyce, who is Todd Bonhazel. Said his name probably wrong. But I interviewed him before the nomination.
He also did Hustlers, and I talked to him about that.
Me too. One of my opening line to him was like, I love Hustlers. You're an incredible cinematographer. The Pieces of a Man episode is great because Kareem, they shoot, they play up his height in such a profound way. And like, it's just I just think that's a great episode. I really love Winning Time. Hopefully season 2 gets more Emmy shine. I think it was a good show. But it's a great category. This is a great category, Joyce.
Yeah, I would give to Loki for this. Yeah.
But what was the one I'm in the midst of rewatching a lot of these before my thing. So I know that Lamentitis, is it, or Lamentis?
Lamentis is the 3rd one.
Right.
3rd episode.
Which is the oneer then?
Which is what?
What happens in that episode with the oneer? Isn't that when they're on the train?
Yeah, it's the train, and then at the end, when the city is like collapsing, and then
that scene is great.
Yeah,
love that. Yes, that's what I thought it was. So it's great. So the movie Black Panther 2 to bring it to there looks amazing. Incredible.
Yeah, because some of like the visuals in the most recent Marvel film releases have not looked that great.
No, I was talking to a friend of mine, and even the ones I've liked, like Doctor Strange, I don't think looks very great, and I think Thor looks sometimes like almost animated.
I mean, that's how I felt watching The Gray Man. So
great movie, The Gray Man. And then
video game fights.
Amazing movie. So much fun. Watch The Gray Man. But no, with Black Panther, my friend and I were talking about it, and he was like, the visuals are like, they look like Eternals, but like the trailer makes it look so much better than Eternals. Because it looks like stuff happens. You know what I mean? Like Eternals, the visuals were cool, but it felt like a little
well, Eternals was when Kevin Feige discovered
cameras,
locations shooting.
And that this movie looks like, hey, remember what we did on Eternals? Let's do that, but make it like kick-ass Black Panther movie.
And also, this is a fictional country. So
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, it's fictional, and maybe it's a trick, and like they actually did. But like for example, with Thor, when they're outside in Thor, it does feel still very much like a VFX in a studio, right? Like they did this in like an airplane hangar.
Like that's why like the visuals in the Black Panther trailer look great.
Because they look like they are actually on a beach.
And it's like, it's the same when you watch like Loki, like, like that the TVA is not real.
Right.
But, like everything there, like Lamentus is not real, but like it still like looks and feel real. It doesn't look fake.
No, I don't think so. Well, I think it helps too when you're like, your environment is an office. Like, you know what I mean? Like it could be fake. The problem with like some of the Marvel stuff of recent vintage is that when they're outside, it doesn't look like they're in actual environments. It looks like they're in a studio.
But like New Asgard is just like on a cliff somewhere. Like you can still shoot that outside.
New Asgard is on a cliff and you could shoot it outside, and maybe they did, but I'm like, so much of like the rest of Thor feels like it's just fully inside, even if it's supposed to be outside. I don't know. And I like Thor. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's a very rewatchable movie, I would say. Not that I'm not here to denigrate Thor, but I just think
Thor and the Gray Man have the same ending. So
yeah, they do. I think that's really fun. That's probably why I like both those endings. I just love the Gray Man choice. It's so good.
No, it's a gray movie.
The Gray Man ended. I was like, hell yeah! When is the second one coming out? Give me another one of these.
Just completely incomprehensible, interminable fight scenes.
No, they're not interminable.
My friend was like, the Vienna tram scene was like, I went to go pee because it just would not end, and you can't tell what's going on in the fight scenes.
I disagree about that scene because I thought that scene was really cool, but my issue where I was like, I actually don't even know what I'm looking at here is the airplane. Yeah,
the plane. Well, that was like god awful.
Tough beat. I was just like, what am I looking at here? But I'll tell you this: Ryan Gosling absolutely rules. Chris Evans great. Julia Butters, my favorite choice. Oscar nominee for The Fabelmans, hopefully. This could only buttress her candidacy. She's so good in this. Billy Bob, awesome.
My favorite thing about this movie, favorite in quotes, is that I understand like why they marketed this as like Ryan Gosling versus Chris Evans, obviously, but it makes no sense in the actual plot because Chris Evans' character has no actual personal vendetta against Ryan. He's just a hired hand for Regé-Jean Page's character. Right. So Regé-Jean Page is the one who has a vendetta against Ryan Gosling.
So I think Evans's character ends up with a vendetta.
There are no stakes. No stakes.
No, he ends up with a vendetta because he doesn't like that he's losing. That's the reason.
But like that's still low stakes. It's not like good stakes for his character. It's just you're supposed to buy that he's this like psychopath, but it's just like there's so many like mercenaries out there and they're just like collecting them to ask them to like catch Ryan Gosling.
It's fantastic. I loved it so much. It reminded me of like a Shane Black movie, and except not as good. And like they rip off Michael Bay and Tony Scott incredible ways. I love the drone work. It's like ambulance with drones.
The entire movie is just crane and dolly shots.
It's awesome. It's so much fun. There's
actually one shot where Chris Evans knocked Ryan Gosling over, and then the camera tilts 90 degrees to capture him falling. I'm like, this is too much. No.
This is me the whole time. Yeah, hell yeah. The Gray Man. FYC The Gray Man. I'll have it in my early best picture predictions, maybe, Joyce. I doubt we could even predict it, but
You know what was better than Gray Man? Extraction.
No, I disagree. I didn't like Extraction at all.
Extraction's
Though
better.
the ending of Extraction is pretty cool.
Even though there's no reason for him to be alive, but they have to make a sequel.
Yeah, they should have never made him back alive. Anyway, spoiler for Extraction, which is 3 years old. He lives, even though he's dead. Joyce, anything else here before we sign off? And maybe next week we'll do limited series, dive into that one. Well, we could just talk about 2 shows then.
I mean, what else is there to talk about? It's just Dope, Sick, and White Lotus.
Yeah, with a smidgen of Pam and Tommy, little dollop. But this was fun. I'm gonna go watch Gray Man again. I'll talk to you later.